The day my mother tried to give away my wedding gift was the day I finally learned how to say no. I smiled when my mother told me she was giving my car to my sister. It was the first time I didn't cry. They called me strong, so I would keep giving. At my own wedding, I showed them what strong really looked like. Have you ever had to defend your happiness from your own family? Share your story in the comments. Hit the like button and subscribe to see what happens next. My name is Mara Vale, and I am 29 years old. The music was changing. The band stopped playing the slow, beautiful song that my husband and I had danced to first. Now they played something lighter, something that felt easy to breathe with. Glasses clinked all around me. Someone's aunt laughed a little too loudly. Fairy lights hung above us, glowing soft gold, making tiny halos on everyone's hair. It all looked like a picture from a storybook. I could still taste a little bit of cake frosting on my thumb from earlier when I had tested it. The air smelled sweet like sugar. For a moment, it felt like the whole world was trying to tell me, everything is perfect now. And then my mother smiled. It was that smile, the one I knew better than any other. I had grown up inside that smile. It was soft and bright, but it always looked a little too practiced, like she had been rehearsing it for years. It was her pageant smile, her church smile, the one that said, everything is fine, even when something bad was happening. She leaned close to me, so close that her perfume filled the air and covered up the smell of cake. Then she said softly, "We're giving your car to your sister." She said it like she was doing something kind for me, like she had just organized a messy drawer and found something I didn't really need. Next to her stood my sister, Lydia. She tilted her head a little, and the shiny sequins on her dress sparkled in the light like tiny jokes only she understood. "Relax," Lydia said, her voice light and sweet. "It's just a car." I didn't look at her. I looked at my mother's perfect smile. My father stepped closer to them, standing straight like he was supposed to be part of the scene. Behind them, my husband Adrian looked at me. His eyebrows lifted just a little, like he was asking a quiet question. He didn't move, and he didn't need to. We already knew what the other was thinking. We had decided who we were long ago. A special kind of silence came into the room. It wasn't the quiet of an empty place. It was the kind that floats over the music and laughter and makes everything suddenly feel frozen. That silence came now. Then Lydia broke it. "It's safer for me anyway," she said quickly. "My old car is awful." And she laughed at her own joke. Of course she did. Adrian's parents had given us the car just the night before, during the rehearsal dinner. It wasn't brand new, but it was clean, safe, and nice. They handed me the title with both hands, smiling kindly. "You built this life together," Adrian's father said. "Here's something to help you move forward." The car was in my name. It felt like trust, not ownership. It was their way of saying, "Welcome to the family." But I knew my family well, and maybe that trust was exactly what bothered them. I learned to notice problems before anyone said their names. When we were little, Lydia always got more. She got a bigger room. I got the reason why. "She's younger," Mom would say. "She needs more space." When she spilled nail polish remover on my homework table and ruined the wood, Mom said, "You should have kept your school things in your room." When she borrowed my sweaters and returned them stretched or stained, Mom said, "You need to learn to share nicely." When Lydia crashed her first car, Mom blamed the weather. I worked 3 long Christmases in a warehouse to buy my own car, and Mom called me responsible. That was the pattern. Lydia asked sweetly, smiled gently, and if that didn't work, Mom and Dad came with their favorite words. "She's sensitive," they'd say. "You're strong. You can handle it." I used to wear strong like a shiny medal. But by the time I turned 29, it didn't feel like strength anymore. It felt like a bell rope that everyone else could pull whenever they wanted something from me. Adrian's hand brushed my elbow, just a tiny touch. A quiet question. I didn't need to speak. I just slipped my fingers into my small clutch purse and felt the thin, flat envelope inside. Paper isn't heavy, but somehow this one was. Mom's smile grew even brighter. "We told her earlier," she said, as if sharing happy news. "She's had such bad luck with cars, and we thought this would help her more. You and Adrian can share one for now. You'll manage." She said manage like she was giving me a ribbon, not taking something away. I took a slow breath. It felt sharp like glass. "You're giving away our wedding gift," I said. My voice wasn't loud or angry, just steady. Mom's smile didn't shake. "Don't make this a big deal, Mara," she said. "It's just a car." "Your envelope was empty," I said softly. "We took it as a symbolic gift." I didn't plan those words, they just came out. Lydia's face changed, surprise and anger coloring her cheeks. "Wow," she said, half laughing. "You really think you're strong now?" Somewhere near the cake table, someone's phone lifted into the air, already recording. I turned slightly to Adrian. "Give me the envelope," I whispered. He didn't ask which one or why. He simply reached into my clutch, took it out, and placed it gently in my hand, palm to palm, like a promise. My father grabbed it before Mom could, curious. Lydia leaned close, her eyes bright with interest. They opened the envelope together, maybe expecting a check or some fancy surprise. But it wasn't that. It was a legal document. Mom's eyes ran over the paper quickly. Her perfect smile didn't break. It just thinned, like a line of ice about to crack. Lydia read over her shoulder and stopped smiling altogether. Dad frowned and read slower, trying to make sense of it. "What is this?" he muttered. "It's a notarized declaration," I said calmly. "Signed 2 weeks ago. It says that all wedding gifts, including the car, can't be sold, given away, or transferred without my written permission. If anyone tries, it automatically triggers a legal review and stops any future inheritance from Adrian's family." The music didn't stop, but it felt like it bent in half. "You can't be serious," Lydia said. "You're threatening us at your own wedding?" "You made it public first," I answered. "I'm just setting a boundary." Dad gave a sharp, humorless laugh. "This is petty, Mara. It's just a car." "No," I said. "It's the principle. It's about all the lessons you taught me, the ones that only counted when Lydia didn't want something." Mom pushed the paper back into the envelope like it had burned her hand. "We're family," she whispered. "You don't treat your family like criminals." "You went into our garage last night," I said. "You took pictures of the car and posted them." Lydia blinked slowly, her mouth twitching. "It was a joke," she said. "Just symbolic." "Symbolic of what?" Adrian asked, his voice calm and strong. "That your presence is the real gift." A few people nearby gasped softly. Mom's smile finally cracked. My knees felt weak, but I stood still. I thought this would feel like a big fight, like an earthquake, but instead it felt like stepping off a rocking boat and finding solid ground under my feet again. Lydia lifted her chin. "You've always been like this," she said bitterly. "Both of you. So self-righteous." I turned fully toward her. My voice was quiet but clear. "You've always taken things and called it love. You've made mistakes and called them family. But really, it's just taking." "Enough," Dad said sharply. "This is a wedding, not a courtroom." "And this," I said, "is the last day I pretend this doesn't happen." Adrian took my hand, threading his fingers through mine. 1, 2, 3, a tiny count we always shared. The band waited. The guests waited. Everyone expected me to play along, to smile and act like nothing had happened. But I didn't. I took out a second envelope. Lydia's name was printed on the front. She stared at it like it might burst into flames. Mom tried to grab it, but I pulled it back just a little. "This one is real," I said softly. "Not symbolic. Keep it. It's proof." Behind us, I heard the sound of the cake table shaking. Somewhere, a champagne cork popped with a cheerful hiss. "Dance," Adrian said quietly to the band. The drummer lifted his sticks. The singer looked at me. I nodded once. The music began again. Lydia opened her mouth to argue, but the music drowned her words. Adrian and I turned and began to dance. My mother's smile finally disappeared. Lydia's sparkly dress stopped shining. The envelope in my hand felt sharp, like truth with edges. As we passed my father, I pressed it into his palm. "Help isn't stealing," I said quietly. "And love isn't taking." We danced, not for show but to take ourselves back. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my mother watching, trying to build a new smile that would fit the new world that was now in front of her. I hoped she wouldn't find one this time. The music kept playing as whispers moved through the room. People leaned over their tables, muttering softly. One aunt pretended to fix her napkin while she secretly recorded. One of Mom's friends whispered drama behind her champagne glass. That's the thing about families like mine. They love having an audience almost as much as they hate being told they're wrong. My mom stood very still beside the cake table. Her smile was painted on her face, but her eyes looked tight and nervous. You could tell she was trying to look calm, but she was scared. Lydia tried to laugh, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was high and shaky, like glass about to break. She thought she could fix the moment, pretend nothing was wrong. "Seriously, Mara," Lydia said, her voice squeaky. "You can't be upset about a car. That's silly." Adrian, my husband, squeezed my hand under the table. I could feel his quiet strength, but I didn't look at him. "This isn't about a car," I said softly. It's about how everything that was mine always ends up being hers. Lydia rolled her eyes and gave a loud sigh. Oh my gosh, she said. Are we really going to talk about high school right now? You're married now, Mara. Move on. High school was practice, I said, my voice steady. You took my room, my clothes, my friends. This car? It's just the last thing you wanted to take. People around us stopped talking. Someone turned down the music. The party air felt heavy and cold. Mom finally spoke, trying to take charge. We're not doing this here, she said in a sharp, fake nice voice. Mara, stop embarrassing yourself. Embarrassing myself? I repeated. You just told everyone you were giving away my wedding gift in public. That's not embarrassing, Mom. That's stealing with manners. Dad rubbed his head and whispered to Mom, just let it go. But he wasn't looking at her. He was looking at me, like I was someone new, someone he didn't quite recognize. Lydia tried again, this time with a small, sad voice. Mara, you know I'm struggling, right? My car is broken, and your new one is just sitting there. There it was. The reason. The excuse. The soft, sneaky kind of taking that always came with a smile. Adrian spoke for the first time, calm and cool. We're not running a donation program, Lydia. Lydia's cheeks turned red. Easy for you to say, Mr. Moneybags. You married rich. Adrian's jaw tightened. I knew he wanted to say something, but I spoke first. You mean he married someone who doesn't give in anymore? Lydia blinked fast. What's that supposed to mean? It means the free ride is over, I said. People whispered around the tables. Forks stopped clinking. The air felt like it was waiting. Mom tried to fix everything again, voice shaking. Everyone, please calm down, she said, trying to smile like a hostess again. This has gone far enough. But I wasn't finished. Mom, I said slowly. Did you know Lydia went into our garage last night? Mom froze. Even her breath stopped. She took pictures of the car, I said. Then she posted them online with the caption, finally got a ride that fits me. Mom's eyes went wide. Dad frowned hard. Lydia's hand flew to her phone like she could erase what she'd done. How did you? She started. Security cameras, I said. And your post had a location tag. Gasps spread through the guests like little sparks. Lydia's face turned bright red. You're spying on me now? No, Adrian said. We just check who tries to open our garage at midnight. The whole room changed. All the fake warmth melted away, and only truth stayed in the air, heavy and real. I reached into my clutch purse. Mom's eyes followed my hand fast. She thought I had another surprise. And she was right. This, I said, pulling out a paper, is a notice saying Lydia used our property without permission. We planned to send it quietly. But since we're all here. Lydia's mouth opened, but no words came out. Mom snatched the paper from me and read it quickly. This is ridiculous, she hissed. This is family business, not something you bring lawyers into. Family business, I repeated, half laughing, half crying. That's what you said when she took my money at 17. When she crashed my car. When she sold my old laptop and called it borrowing. Every time you said it was a family business. Dad's voice cut through the silence. It was deep and rough. You're making a fool of yourself. Sit down. I looked straight into his eyes. I've been sitting down for 29 years, Dad. You just never noticed. The silence that followed felt alive. Like a thick blanket no one could move under. Adrian spoke, his voice calm but strong. We'd appreciate it if no one touches our things again. Our car, our house, anything that belongs to us. Lydia's eyes narrowed. So this is about status now? About your fancy last name? No, Adrian said simply. It's about respect. Mom tried one last time, her voice soft and desperate. We raised you to be kind, Mara. To be generous. You raised me to give, I said quietly. And you taught Lydia to take it. That sentence hit like thunder. No one moved. Even the fairy lights seemed to flicker. Lydia stepped closer, her hands shaking. You really think you're better than me now? No, I said. I'm just done letting you decide what I owe you. Her bottom lip trembled. You're heartless, she whispered. Then stop trying to find my heart in my bank account, I said. A few people gasped. One of Adrian's uncles even clapped a little, like someone who knew how it felt to finally speak up. Mom's voice turned soft, pleading. We're family. We can fix this later. No, I said. Later is how you kept me small. Lydia tried to laugh again, but her voice cracked in the middle. You're not perfect either, Mara. I never said I was, I said. But at least I'm not pretending that stealing is love. Lydia's eyes filled with tears. You'll regret this, she said. I already did, I whispered. For 29 years. Then I turned away. Adrian took my hand and led me back to the dance floor. The song playing was soft and slow, like something from a movie. We didn't talk as we danced. People pretended to eat, to smile, to chat. But everyone knew everything had changed. When the song ended, we bowed to the band like nothing had happened. But we both knew something had. That night, after the wedding, we drove home in the same car they'd tried to take. The windows were down, and the wind was wild. The silence between us wasn't empty, it was free. When we parked, Adrian turned off the car and looked at me. "You okay?" he asked. I looked at our small house, the quiet street, and the night sky. "I'm more than okay," I said. "I'm finally done." He smiled a little. "Good. Because something tells me your family isn't." He was right. The next morning felt strange, like waking up in someone else's house. My dress hung over the chair. My bouquet was wilted. The house was too quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but waiting quietly. Adrian made coffee while I scrolled through my phone, half asleep, half nervous. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. The first post made my stomach twist. Lydia had written, "Some people care more about money than family. Hope it's worth it." It already had 53 likes, 3 heart emojis, and 1 comment from Mom. Mom had written, "Letting go is painful but sometimes necessary. Still praying for those who forget where they came from." I stared at it until the screen went dark. "Don't," Adrian said gently. "Don't read it again." "I'm not," I lied. He handed me a warm mug. "She's trying to change the story before it sets," he said. He was right. That's what my family always did. Whoever spoke first got to decide what happened. The truth was just whatever sounded polite enough for brunch. But this time, the story was ours. We were supposed to leave for our honeymoon that morning. Drive up the coast in our car, the one they tried to take. We didn't even have a destination, just a map with little circles drawn around places we'd never been. As I packed, my phone buzzed again. Another post. It was worse this time. A GoFundMe link. Title: Vehicle emergency caused by betrayal. Goal: $8,000. Organizer: Lydia Harper. Her message said, "My sister and her husband hurt me on their wedding day. I lost the car that was promised to me, and now I can't get to work. Please help me rebuild." 2 people had donated $18 total. One name stood out. Karma, $10. Adrian burst out laughing. "Karma donated? You can't make this up." I took a screenshot and put the phone down. "She'll delete it soon," I said. "And when she does," he added, "she'll find another way to make herself the victim." "She always does," I said. We started our trip. The road stretched ahead, wide and open. The car hummed softly beneath us. At first, it was quiet. The kind of quiet that felt deserved. We passed city signs, tall trees, long fields, and gas stations with bright lights. There were no calls, no messages, no family drama, just the sound of wind and the smell of coffee from a cup holder. At one rest stop, I looked at the car window and saw my reflection. No makeup, messy hair, but eyes that looked alive. Adrian followed my gaze and smiled. "You look peaceful," he said. "I feel free," I told him. "Like I've been holding my breath for 10 years and finally remembered how to breathe." He nodded. "That's what boundaries do." We didn't talk much after that. We didn't need to. Every mile between us and my parents felt like a wall I should have built long ago. 3 days later, we sat by a quiet lake with our feet in the water. The sky was pink and gold. My phone buzzed again. It was a long message from Mom. "Mara, you're still angry. This is too far. Family helps family. That's how we raised you." I looked at it for a long time. Her words felt like a rope, trying to pull me back into being the quiet, guilty daughter again. Then I opened my camera and took a photo. Not of us, not of the wedding, not of the car. A photo of the paper. The notarized letter. I sent it to her with one line. "Help isn't stealing." Then I blocked her. Not because I hated her, but because I was done. I was learning to stop old habits. When we got home, we unpacked slowly. The air in our house felt new, light, safe, and ours. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel small. I felt free. The group chats were quiet now. My cousins didn't send messages anymore. The family chat that used to buzz all the time with "good morning" and funny pictures and "who's cooking Sunday dinner" was silent. No one said anything for days. At first, I thought that would hurt, but it didn't. It felt fair. It felt like something that needed to happen. 2 weeks went by before anyone said a word. Then a cousin texted me. "You guys okay?" Aunt Celeste said there was a fight at the wedding. I wrote back, "Not a fight. A boundary." There was no reply, just the 3 little dots that blinked for a while, and then stopped. The silence after that didn't feel lonely. It felt peaceful, like quiet air after a storm. Adrian and I went back to work. We stopped trying to explain ourselves to people. We started new habits, slow breakfasts on Sunday mornings, little drives in the evening, soft music with no words. Sometimes I saw Lydia's name pop up on my phone in suggested posts. She always looked so happy online, like her life was shiny and perfect. But her happiness looked like glass, pretty but easy to break. I didn't click anymore. One night, I was looking through the wedding pictures and found one nobody had noticed. It wasn't a perfect picture. No one was posing or smiling. It was taken right after the argument. Mom's hand was still in the air, Lydia's mouth was half open, and my face looked hard to read. Adrian stood next to me, calm and strong. A friend must have taken the picture by accident. I printed it and hid it behind the pretty, smiling pictures in the photo frame. Because perfect pictures can lie, but true ones, even if they hurt, are worth keeping. That one became my favorite picture of all. It wasn't pretty, but it was real. The piece lasted about 3 weeks. Then guilt came. Not from anyone else, from inside me. It started small, like a little cough you can't stop. Every quiet morning felt strange, like a whisper in my head saying, "You're the bad one if they're upset." That's what happens when you've always been the strong one. You start feeling guilty for taking care of yourself. Adrian noticed before I did. One morning he said, "You've been staring at that same mug for 10 minutes. What are you thinking about?" I shrugged. "Just cleaning out my feelings." He smiled a little. "Cleaning?" "Yeah," I said. "Cleaning away the feeling that I owe everyone everything." He nodded. "Then let's keep cleaning." That afternoon, we did something that seemed small but felt huge. We changed the locks on the doors. The old keys fell into the trash with a loud clink. It sounded final, like closing a book. We put in a new keypad and a new code. No more old keys for Mom or Dad. For years, I had always left little ways for them to come in, an extra key under the flower pot, a shared password, a credit card that paid for their things. I told myself that was love, but really it was fear. I was afraid of making them angry. That day, I stopped being afraid. 3 visits later, I said something in therapy that surprised me. "I'm not sad anymore. I'm cleaning out old feelings." My therapist smiled. "Tell me more." I said I thought I missed them. But I think I just missed being what they wanted me to be. The one who helped, forgave, and never said no. She nodded. "Letting that version of you go isn't selfish. It's respect." That word hit hard. Respect. I had given it to everyone else, but never to myself. By the 4th visit, I was ready to do something real. I deleted all the old family emergency numbers from my phone. They only called when they needed something, never to say happy birthday. I replaced my mom's number with my therapist's. It wasn't revenge. It just made sense. Then I walked to the fridge. I took off all the old family photos, one by one. Most of them were fake smiles, pretending everything was okay. I left one picture up, the real one from the wedding. Mom frowning, Lydia shocked, me holding the envelope, and Adrian steady beside me. It wasn't happy, but it was honest. And that's what I wanted now. Soon, people started testing the silence. My aunt texted, "How's married life?" Then she said, "Your mom's heartbroken." A cousin messaged me, "Don't you think it's time to forgive her? She's your mom." But forgiveness isn't a light switch. You don't flip it on because someone else is uncomfortable. Forgiveness is something you give when your heart feels safe again. I didn't reply to most of them. When I did, I said, "Forgiveness isn't owed. Respect is." The messages stopped after that. One day, Adrian found me sitting outside looking at the sky. "Do you regret it?" he asked. I shook my head. "No, I'm just noticing the quiet." He sat beside me. "It feels weird at first, huh? The silence." "It's not the silence," I said. "It's the missing noise I once thought was love." He didn't say anything. He just held my hand while the sun went down. A week later, my dad called. No voicemail, just his number on the screen. Like a test. I didn't call back. Calling back would mean stepping into the same story that already burned down. The next day, I found a letter under our door. No name on it, but I knew who it was from. Inside was a picture from when I was little. Lydia and me on the porch, smiling and hugging. On the back, in my mom's handwriting, it said, "Don't let her erase your memories." For a second, my throat felt tight. But then I realized she wasn't sending love. She was sending control. She wanted me to feel guilty again. I tore the photo in half. Not out of anger, but out of strength. I didn't need to erase my memories. I just needed to stop pretending they were happy ones. The next morning, I made breakfast. Coffee, toast, sunlight on the counter. I opened the door without fear. I played music without worrying someone would judge me. Freedom doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's just the soft sound of a new lock clicking shut. A full year passed before the next message came. By then, our house felt different. The air was still calm and honest. The walls didn't echo with worry anymore. Every inch of the space finally felt mine. Adrian and I made new traditions. Friday night takeout. Saturday morning drives. Late night laughter that didn't need to be quiet. A life that didn't need to be explained or defended. Our anniversary came quietly. We didn't plan a big party or trip. We just got in the same car, the one that started all the family drama, and drove until we reached the coast. The same car that once brought chaos now carried peace. The sky looked like a painting that evening, purple melting into gold. We parked near a cliff and listened to the waves. Adrian leaned against the hood and said, "Remember when you said you'd never dance again after the wedding?" I laughed. "Yeah, I was wrong." "Wrong about what?" he asked. "About thinking I needed them to feel whole." He smiled softly. "You were whole the day you said no. Everything after that was just cleanup." We stayed there until the sun went down. The car headlights mixed with the last light of the day. It felt like we were leaving the past in the dark and driving into something new and steady. When we got home, there was an envelope in the mailbox. No name, but I knew the handwriting right away. My stomach didn't twist this time. I opened it. Inside was a pretty card, cream-colored with gold edges. It said, "We miss you. We love you. Come back when you're ready to be part of the family again." I looked at it for a long time. There was a time when a card like that would have broken me. It would have made me cry, say sorry, and go back. But now I saw it clearly. It wasn't a real invitation. It was a trap. An invitation to go backward, not forward. Adrian read it over my shoulder. He didn't say a word. He didn't have to. I tore the card in half. The sound was quiet, almost polite. Then I dropped it into the trash. People think closure comes when everyone hugs and says sorry. But real closure is different. It comes when you stop walking back into rooms where you had to shrink yourself to fit. That night, I walked through the house barefoot, lights dim. Every room felt like it was whispering something. Old memories, lessons, healing. I stopped by the fridge. That same photo was still there. The real one. Mom frowning. Lydia shocked. Me holding the envelope. Adrian calm beside me. I smiled at it, not because I felt proud, but because I finally understood. That was the moment everything changed. Breaking old family patterns isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet and steady. It's the moment you stop needing an apology to feel free. For our second anniversary, we took another drive. Same car, same road, same coast. The wind was strong and our laughter was loud. No audience. No judgment. No secret debts. Just us. Adrian rolled down the windows and asked, "Do you think you'll ever talk to them again?" I thought about it. "Maybe," I said, "but not like before. Not as the version of me they created." He nodded. "You don't miss them?" I smiled softly. "I don't miss being the one they used." We drove in silence after that, not a heavy silence but a peaceful one. The kind that comes after a long fight that finally ends. When we got home, I opened the door easily. No fear. No checking. No holding my breath. It was the same door they used to have keys to. The same house. But now it was truly mine. And I was the same woman, but finally safe in my own skin. I used to think setting boundaries meant losing family. Now I know boundaries show you who your real family is. In the quiet, sunlit kitchen, I finally understood something simple. I didn't want their version of family anymore. I wanted peace, and I had it. Every time I start the car, that's mine. Every time I unlock the door without worry, that's mine. Every time I wake up beside someone who loves me freely, without conditions or costs, that's family. That's freedom. That's home.